It was an even worse poster.
Hey, but I got to tell you, the first time he dunked on me was in college. I'm like, this little fella, who's this little fat guy? He can't play.
They threw it away. Barkley with a great anticipation. Look at the big guy move. Bingo and a foul.
Well, when I first saw Charles, I looked at him and said, "Who's this big guy? This big guy can't play." And he dunked him. And I looked at this guy like, how can this big guy put all this weight in the air?
He goes up, boom. I'm like, hey, he's pretty good.
in the Georgia-Auburn rivalry.
America, it's either A, get dunked on, B, get a finger or arm broken, or smile on camera. That's it. My agent says, hey, you know, we need to talk about this 76ers situation. I said, what's the situation? He says, you know, they have a hard cap in the NBA, and you're going to have to get like the minimum, 1 year, $75,000. I said, I didn't leave college for $75,000.
I think you weighed 284 pounds before the 76ers drafted you. And they wanted,
to 300.
Okay, and they wanted you to at least, I heard, get down to 275 before the draft. You end up getting down to 272 pounds, and then what happens?
So I said, well, we got to make sure the Sixers don't draft me then. So we went on a 2-day eating binge. We got up the first morning, I had like 6 pancakes, bacon, wash it down with a vanilla shake. Then we went to lunch. I think I had like 4 or 5 pieces of Kentucky Fried Chicken, some mashed potatoes, some coleslaw. Then we went to dinner someplace. I had like a T-bone steak, had a baked potato. And then next day did the exact same thing. So we fly to Philly. I get on the scale, I'm like 302. I'm like 302. And Harold Cass cursing me, you
That's the owner of the 70s.
Yeah, you fat, lazy, blah, blah, blah. Just get out of here. Get out of here. And we take the train up to New York. And I got to tell you something. If people take a good look at the tape, and when they said with the number 5 pick, the 76ers take Charles Barkley, the look on my face is, are you kidding me?
You weren't smiling.
I wasn't smiling because I was like, I left college for $75,000.
In the 1984 draft, Philadelphia selected him number 5.
The Philadelphia 76ers select Charles Barkley of Auburn University.
Initially, I wasn't that excited. You're talking about someone under 6'5", playing a power forward position in the NBA.
And I remember telling my agent, I said, oh my God. But in fairness to the Sixers, they ended up trading 2 guys. They traded 2 guys, and my first contract was 4 years, $2 million. So I'm off and running then.
Charles's first year was quite an experience. Charles would act up. Charles wouldn't run back to half court. Charles was very difficult, to say the least.
When I walked in that locker room the first day, I was on cloud 9. But also, I couldn't decide, should I call him Dr. J, Mr. Irving, or what? And now he made it easy for me. He came up to me the first day and said, hey, I'm Doc. And that was it.
With Moses and myself, I mean, I think he really looked up to us because we were already established.
Yeah.
And, you know, the thing that most people don't understand, the biggest influence in my basketball career has been Moses Malone. And I pulled Moses aside, and I said, Moses, why am I not getting to play? And Moses, you know, he's really brutal. He said, you fat and you lazy, young fellow. You fat and you lazy. I'm like, oh, I'm fat and I'm lazy. He said, you need to lose some weight. He says, you want to work hard, I'll help you, Big Mo, I'll help you.
You could see that Charles wanted to be great, but he didn't want to work at it. So I said, Charles, you know, things you got to do, it's not going to come easy because right now you're into pro ball, you got a lot of great athletes. So what you got to do, get the attitude and get mean and get aggressive and complete every night.
And he was great. And I think at that time I was like 290. He says, I want you to lose 10 pounds. So I lose 10 pounds, I'm 280. He said, I want you to get to 270 now. I get to 270, and now I'm like, okay, you can tell I'm in shape now, and I'm getting to play. He says, get to 260. At this point, I'm starting to really start to kick some butt. I'm starting to play well. You can play, obviously, extended periods of time. And he says, I want you to get to 250. I'm really rolling right now. And then he said, get to 240. He said, I want to experiment. And I got to 240, but I didn't feel strong and explosive. He says, no, 250. 250 is your weight. And that's what I played my entire career at.
And it was a lot of yes, sir, no, sir, whatever. It quickly changed from get out my way.
Right.
Move, bitch, get out the way. But he does recall and recount those years that we played together. And we had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun. And watching him develop and watching him become a dominant force was a joy.
You told Jimmy Kimmel last night that you once played the game intoxicated because you'd been celebrating the trade to the Lakers that had fallen apart. Do you remember the game subsequent to that? What happened? How'd that go? Because I can't remember it.
The Lakers are the biggest here. Is it true you almost played for the Lakers? You were almost
Yeah,
sent to the
I
Lakers?
actually I got traded to the Lakers. So I get a call from my agent one morning. It's one of my last years in Philly. I got a call from my agent first thing in the morning. He says, we think the Sixers and the Lakers have a deal. And he says, I think we got a deal. You're going to the Lakers. So me and two of my boys, this is about 11:30 during the day.
And what year is this?
I want to say 90 somewhere, late 80s.
So you're in
Late
Philly?
80s, yeah.
Okay.
And I was so excited. And he says, I said, the deal done? He says, yes, the deal is done. So me and my boys went out to celebrate. We started getting drunk in the middle of the day. I was so excited. And then about 3 hours later, I get a call from my agent saying the Sixers backed out of the deal. My agent calls me back about 3 hours later. He said the Sixers pulled out the deal. And we got a game that night. I don't remember anything about that game. And Mike, I tell you what, I have never drank before a game before, but that's the only time I've ever did it in my life. I don't even remember the game. I don't even know if I played good or bad or who we played. It was in Philly, and it was before the year I got traded.
Did you hit double figures that night?
I don't remember.
You once played the game intoxicated.
This is one of my last years in Philly. It was in Philly, and it was before the year I got traded. I get a call from my agent, and he says, I think we got a deal. You're going to the Lakers. First of all, I was so pissed, but I was so drunk, too. I have no idea what happened that game.
You know your stats? Did you?
I do not even remember the game, actually. I can remember a lot of games I played, but that day, we were so excited. I was getting out of Philadelphia, and I was blasted. I'm not going to lie. Hey, some of them teams I played on, I needed to drink.
Oh, my goodness.
I was playing with some bombs in Philly.
Oh, my goodness.
You know, Charles was the kind of player that, you know, he just exude confidence. You know, he knew he was a good player, and he demonstrated that every night. And there are a couple of true story is we're playing against the Detroit Pistons, and they have Isaiah and Joe Dumars, and this is when Dennis Rodman was on the Pistons as well, and they have Bill Laimbeer, and I have an awful first half. Like I'm scoreless. I have 0 points. I'm 0-7 from the field, and I'm just playing awful. And coming out the second half, Charles literally grabs me by my collar, by my jersey, and grabs me sort of close to him. And then, I can't say exactly what he says, but it's more like, get your crap together. You're too good to be scoring 0 points and, out there playing like, so I'm like, holy crap, what's going on? And, that alone to say, I had a great second half, but he had faith in me and the confidence that, he knew he was the #1 player on the team. And he was like, you're number 2. I need you to go out there and score and be my number 2. And he made sure every night that I was prepared and ready to play. So I owe a lot to Charles.
What was it like, truthfully, playing against Charles Barkley?
One moment that I can pick with Charles, we were playing Philly in the playoffs. And I guess I got into a hot rhythm, and I had about 40-some points.
Years. Jordan does what he just did to rookies and veterans alike. And Michael Jordan.
He's playing against a guy who was a great rebounder. His job is not
right. And B.J. Armstrong, the 5 for Chicago.
But Charles is yelling. I can hear him yelling in the huddle. Talking about, who's going to guard this guy? Somebody's got to guard this guy. That's all right. I guard this guy.
Jordan. And a matchup, Charles Barkley defending Jordan.
So I go and we're playing, and we got into a switch. And Charles jumps out and guards me. And yeah, I never known Charles as a defensive stopper. So the first thing he does, he breaks down in this defensive position with hands up. Everything looks technically right. And I just laugh. I say, when the hell are you going to start playing defense? And who taught you how to get in a defensive stance? And I had to pass it. But that's the type of guy. He would take on a challenge, even though he was not up to the challenge. He didn't care. And that's just him.
Give me an example, Charles, what you would say.
What one of the guys would say?
No, what you would say. When you talk
I'll tell you what he said. I'm playing him in Washington. I'm playing him in Washington. And he's a little older. I think, it was maybe 4 more years in his career, but, and I foul him. And I get away with it, come back down. And the next time, he's going off at the ref. He fouled me. And I'm like, I ain't fouling him. He over there crying. And the ref, he's like, he looked at the ref, he's like, I scored 24,000 points or something. I scored 20,000 points right here in this position. You gonna tell me he ain't fouled me? And the ref just shook. And I knew I was in trouble, because I was like, this ref, the ref was intimidated by his talk, but a lot of guys, like you said, it's not malicious, it's just what you're doing.
I just hated when a guy thought he could guard me, to be honest with you. I'm like, dude, please, just work hard, but you can't stop me.
Is there any way to foretell a 56-point night?
No.
What did he get, 56 or something like that against the Warriors in one series? And it's just what he did. He could do that. Because he could do stuff like that, sometimes, you let him be a minute late to the bus.
We are underway. Game 3 in Oakland. A victory by the Suns, and the season ends for Golden State. A Warrior win, and they stay alive in the play on Friday. Barkley from 15. Swish, it's good.
The game against C. Webb and those guys was just revenge.
That was by Byron Houston. We told Coach, don't let Byron Houston check the check. Like, no, he's strong. He's like, he's 6'1". Don't let him check Big Chuck.
That game was so funny because I remember
Byron Houston.
and I remember I went to the bench. Well, I remember going to the Warriors bench, and I'm talking to Don Nelson. I said, Don, I got like 10 points in the first 3-4 minutes of the game. He says, we're not gonna double you. You're not gonna double me? He says, nope. Because I had a triple-double. I think that was game 3. So I had a triple-double game 1, had about 8 assists in game 2. So Nelly says, we're not gonna double you tonight. I says, you're not?
You got a guy named Don Nelson saying he doesn't need to double team Charles.
And he said, if you can beat us, beat us. And we still laugh about that story to this day.
Out to Barkley. Fake the 3. Wants to shoot it again. Got it. What a first quarter for Sir Charles.
So I scored like
27 points. Did not miss a shot. 11 for 11 from the field. 3 3-pointers.
So I run over again. I said, let me ask you, you're not going to double me. He says, you can get as many as you want. I said, okay. I actually personally think Game 7 to get to the finals is the best game I ever played. Okay, we lose Game 6 in Seattle. So I called Frank Johnson, who's one of my good friends on the team, back to the plane. I said, Frank, I need to talk to you in the back. I said, Frank, what can I do to get this team pumped up for Game 7? He says to me, we're going to be fine. Don't worry about it. We're going to win Game 7. I says, how do you know that? He says, you've never been to the finals. you never been to the finals, right? I said, no. He says, you just got to play the best basketball game of your life. And he said, we'll follow. I says, really? That's a good, interesting point. And I said, okay, but I said, I got to get the rest of the team. He said, just go and just BS with them. Just make them laugh, have fun with them, but all the pressure's on your back. He said, you won MVP. You never been to the finals. You got Game 7 at home. You just got to play the best basketball game you ever played.
Barkley just won't be denied. And grabbed at midcourt by Barkley. Here's Charles. Whammo! There's Charles with a steal and a wham, bam, slam.
Game 7s are no joke.
Did it feel different than any other game?
First of all, Game 7s.
But when he tells you, look, not only do we have a Game 7, you have to have the best game of your life.
First of all, as a star, you always feel pressure because the one thing about a star, you're going to get the blame. So you automatically feel that pressure. I mean, nobody's going to say Sid Ceballos didn't win the championship. They said Charles Barkley didn't win the championship. Right. So I knew that from my days in Philly. That was my first year in Phoenix. I got MVP. And so I was ready for the game, but I was trying to just get the team. I said, guys, let's go. We're good.
When we needed him the most, he came through. So to have a game like that in Game 7 to propel us to the championship, to have 40 points and 24, I mean, and like I said, you're talking about a guy who's 6'4", 6'5". I mean, it's just amazing. Just shows you what type of player he is and how great a player he was.
In games like that, I mean, don't even try and go get a rebound. I mean, don't even try and go get a rebound because he's going to knock you down and throw his out. Yeah, you probably get elbowed by Charles.
It sounds crazy to say it, but when Charles did stuff like that, it didn't even surprise me. The guy had that gear that he would do whatever he had to do. And the tougher it was, the better he was.
The fact that Charles in that particular game rose to the occasion and put the nail in the coffin, that's about as monster a game as you possibly could have.
It's over. The Suns win. The Suns win. They're the Western Conference champions. And they move on to play the defending world champion Chicago Bulls for all the marbles.
Pretty good. It's a very lukewarm, very lukewarm reaction from Shaq.
24, yeah.
But so
could you take down Shaq now?
Come on, man. You ever seen a guy fight?
Lakers are trying to get out and break now, but the wrong people are shooting. I wouldn't want Fisher necessarily to take that shot that fast.
Oh, and there's a swing by O'Neal. And they got a brouhaha on the field.
A real fighter throws the first punch. I'm not going to walk up to you and let y'all slug me in my jaw first. I got to get y'all first.
Speaking of which,
1999. Let's think about a real fighter. Chuck. All I want to wait. We said what you say? The winning guys win.
Well, the guy on the top is the winner.
No, bro.
I'm on top.
Shaq?
No. You ever see him win a fight? Shaq can't fight a lick. I hit him in that big old gut. Because I can't reach his big old head. So I hit him in the gut, and that gut, and then it'll bring him down. And then when he come down, I clock him.
This would happen. You can slow down if you want to. I wanted to show the left to my man, so when he went for the left, I wanted to hit him with the right, but somebody grabbed me. But when he got me down on the ground, he didn't do nothing, so I knew we wasn't even really sick. But check us out. After that fight, we both got in trouble.
I love this angle of it right here, Shaq. I love this angle.
Yeah, see, the left.
Hey, you know this?
And number 5 grabbed my arm.
Holy, get him, Catino. Catino hit him.
Look at this. The left. See?
Oh! See how I just showed?
That's called Bobby Weaver.
That was just a little Ali. You know, some people like jump all out the way. I just like subtle.
Let's do it in slow-mo. How was it?
Oh! You know what's funny about that?
What?
A lot of people don't know that Charles' mother and my mother were best friends.
Oh, yeah.
So the day me and Charles got into an altercation, the phone rings. It was an Alabama number, and his mom, don't you put your hands on my baby.
You need to stop fussing at each other and get a grip and behave.
And then my mom called, what y'all doing out there fighting?
Pretty good way to go out, winning a gold medal and playing with, well, I can't say the best team ever assembled, but one of the best teams ever assembled. The cast of characters, the different personalities than Charles Barkley, but we had a lot of fun.
He was definitely our MVP during that Olympic run. And still today, you sit there and watch him and say, How did a man his size be able to do the things that he did? Charles was the life of Barcelona. Only Charles could have 5,000 people following him all over the place.
He would go out and talk to people who were pretty unfortunate. And I remember one homeless woman who never asked him for anything. He just one day stuck a wad of bills in a bag.
Best of times was Charles rolling down the Ramblas. The worst of times is when he would elbow an Angolan.
You know, everybody that has ever been in front of a camera, we tend to not say certain things.
Why don't they just take their ass whipping like people and go home?
Barkley says things that we would think about and never say.
We're gonna have a little revenge in our hearts for 72 and 88. David, he can't say that because he's a Christian, but
He said, man, you don't talk honestly enough to the media. You need to tell them what you're really thinking. I said, Charles, you talk too much to the media. You need to stop telling them everything you're thinking.
And when Charles was asked about the team's first opponent, his prediction was as honest as ever.
I don't know anything about Angola, but Angola's in trouble, I think.
Charles found some trouble.
I had players in Angola who play against South Barkley. They told us there's no a kid, a fat boy, is many aggressive in the paint.
Rebound Barkley. Rebound Barkley. And he's fouled and shuts David Diaz. Well, Charles getting a bit aggressive.
I thought they were playing dirty. And I told old boy, I don't even know if he understood. I said, hey, man, ease up on the elbow.
Barkley from Pippen.
I let it go twice.
You can see the frustration with Barkley.
And the next time, I just cracked it.
Barkley from Pippen. And a technical foul has been called on Barkley.
I thought, what are you doing, Charles? The guy is half your size. But, you know, Charles was an equal opportunity abuser.
That's the same guy that just asked you for an autograph, Charles. I mean, you think he's not intimidated?
I think he's acting like a bully, but maybe it's from his personality.
They were throwing elbows as well, so Charles being a competitor, he's going to throw an elbow back.
I asked him whether that was in keeping with the Olympic ideal, and he said, hey, it's the ideal of the playground. This is the way you play.
I said to Michael, Michael, why don't you have a talk with Charles? You know, get him calmed down a little bit. He said, we've tried, it's your turn.
Welks with the elbow. Well, he hit me, I hit him. That's the way it is.
Charles made you look like the ugly Americans, which we were trying not to do.
We said to Charles, look, man, you're a reflection of all of us. So if you do it, they're not going to write the article that Charles Barkley did. They're going to say the dream team.
Everybody always had the same question. How much of an ass is Charles Barkley?
Hey, Jack, when am I going to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated for this stuff? I should be on the Dream Team cover.
And then every time you'd go spend time with him, you know, you'd just realize that he was the most enjoyable act, not only in all of sports, but possibly in all of pop culture.
Sometimes I dream that he is me. I just want to be like Mike.
So Barkley strolled Los Ramblas, a man of the people, if ever there was one.
Man, I walked up and down the Ramblas every night, and the people were fantastic. They all wanted autographs and wanted to take pictures.
We could be inside the hotel. Soon we heard the big roar. We said, there go Charles. So Charles would be walking, and then thousands would be following him everywhere he went, you know. He was the Pied Piper.
Charles would go over to the village and find the Angolan players and hang out along the Ramblas at night. He was the most memorable person of the 1992 Olympics.
Because Ernie has all the notes, and he has everything in order, and Charles is new.
Will we be doing a game break?
He's like, what's those? I'm like, those is notes. He just keeps them there to make sure everything's in order.
It's the format for the post-game show with a couple of notes written in it, so we're going to go from here to here to here to here to here.
And I realized he didn't know what it was and how important it was. And I egged him. I said, I bet you wouldn't take those from Ernie. And he's like, I won't even take them. I'll rip them up.
And so now I go, oh, he definitely don't know how important these are. And so now Ernie hears us. He says, Charles, don't play.
Don't even think about it.
Don't think about it. This is don't do it. So I was like, they're not gonna really. I thought he was gonna do one of these, then fake it. So Charles takes it and he rips it up, right?
He was mad.
Oh no, wait. You know, Ernie, God bless, is the most Christian man I know. That shit wasn't funny. And he didn't speak to us the rest of the show. And the first time I was scared. I was like, Ernie's might swing on me, because he was like, you started it because you gave him the notes. I was like, I started doing this.
And so I just froze him out of the next segment. And we came back, because I was ready to. I was ready. I had a cup of coffee. I was ready to throw a cup of coffee in his face. I was
the first time I heard him curse.
I was hot, man.
Ever. Because internally, I was just crying because I had never heard him curse.
I won't ever do that again.
No.
You know, because you know what that did to me in that moment? It was that these guys don't respect what I do. That's what that said to me. I've been working on this, on this show. No, I've been working on this show. No,